Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Avini Vibes. Today is February 15th, 2024. And just so you know, we will be recording tonight. Please do not make any medical claims. We do not make medical claims here at Avini Vibes. We're here to share information, to learn, and to get our questions answered. Just remember that, if you would. My name's Christine Rolando, and I'm your host with my co-host over there. Carol Witt couldn't do without her, and I call him Dr. Chip. He's part of the team as far as my husband Craig believes. We have Dr. Tailgater, we have Dr. Chip, and we have Dr. Sen. So tonight we have Dr. Chip with us to answer any of our questions as well. So thank you for being with us. And I hope you all had a wonderful Valentine's Day. You know, it's such a special day. We had the opportunity to go to a beautiful chateau right here. If you ever come to the Hudson Valley, New York, come up to the Chateau Hawthorne. It's owned by a fine Swiss and French family, and they really do a remarkable job. So I got Craig out last night. I drove, but we went and we had a very, very nice dinner, as I hope you did. You enjoyed time with your loved ones. Tonight's we're going to go in a format of 3, and we're going to speak to our special guest tonight, Hannah Stringer, all the way from New England. She's going to share her story and about her family and how she was blessed to find the Avini company, the Avini family. So she's here with us. Hello, Hannah, and welcome. And then we're going to have the opportunity to ask some questions in the second part. And also, I may ask you if you'd like to share a testimonial, okay, in the third part of this. So 1, 2, 3, 3 parts to tonight. We're here to share, answer your questions, and hear from some of our Avini family. And tonight, Hannah Stringer is one of our guests from, again, the New England area. So welcome, Hannah. We want to hear how perhaps you got involved with Avini, your why, a little bit about your family.
Sure.
And your journey. So the floor is yours.
Okay, so as if I was giving a presentation, I would just like to have, this is my tabletop for when I do a trade show in the future, is I look forward to sharing more this information with you, your friends, colleagues, and furry friends, and about all of our products, and that Avini Health advances in natural healing products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any symptom or disease. Anyone who has a diagnosed medical condition, is taking prescription medications, or is under the care of a medical professional should consult their physician before using any dietary supplement. My name is Hannah Stringer, and I am from Salem, Massachusetts. And I'm really looking forward to sharing my story, because it's really amazing with what this company has given to all of us. And for me, I'm helping others by sharing our products, and it's helping me, and it can help you to achieve whatever success you desire in life, whether it's personal or professional. And I asked Carol to put up a slide.
I will. Hold on.
To start why. What is my why? And I have to say to you that I am 74 years young. I'm 74 years old, but in reality, I'm 49. And the reason that I can say that I'm 49 is because I was born in 1949. So we have our Paul Stowers and Dave Johnson. If you haven't gone back, and if you haven't seen any of their presentations, they are using a presentation with some of these slides that are on there. So I created 3 posters, and this is the last one that when I go through why zeolites and et cetera, it comes to this. And I say, this is my story. This is my why, my purpose with passion. In 1983, my dad was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. That was 3 months at Duke University, 3 months after they were on their cruise through the Panama Canal. Dad came down, he was diagnosed with bulbar ALS, and he died 2 years later on Memorial Day weekend. My mother lived for 15 years longer, until 2000. She wanted to come through the change of 1999 to 2000. She in 1997 was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And so I watched my mother fail to the point that she finally took the bad fall. And I had to take her out of her beautiful home. And she had 6 good weeks and she had 6 bad weeks. The picture there is my father and my oldest brother at Christmas in 1985. The picture next to that is my brother in 2015. Eddie had angiospondylosis. I don't know if you know what angiospondylosis is, but your body calcifies, and his rib cage calcified, and he could no longer breathe. The next picture, and that was in 2016. But between my mother dying in 2000, March of 2000, she introduced me to my husband at a bar, a local bar in Marblehead, Massachusetts, where my husband had a Soggy Dollar t-shirt on. See, I was 50 years old, single, never thought I would ever get married. And somehow, by all my guiding angels, they led me to Steve, who was single for 30 years. We met in 2000. He had a boat. I fell in love on the boat. And in 2006, that was our wedding picture. And getting off of our boat, going around the harbor. And the next picture was New Year's of 2021. We got married in 2011. He died in October 22, 2011, because he had on the death certificate cirrhosis of the liver, but in fact, it was fatty liver cells and a love of Miller Lite. My brother on December 10, 2016 said to me, Hannah, this is the last time I'm going to be able to talk with you. Go find yourself. Go become that most beautiful person, that magnanimous person that you are. And when you find yourself, no matter how long it takes, you are going to do unbelievable things with your life, and you're going to help others, because he knew how I believed in cellular health, that if we give our body the ingredients, the proper things, our body can heal itself. But unfortunately, it was his family that said, no, we can't take him off anything. And he wanted to try the other product that I was on before this. So you can take that down now. Okay. But I think it's very, very important that everybody knows their why, and that helps them to move forward with it, no matter how long it takes. So Eddie on December 10th told me, go find yourself. And because I had been with a group of women, 8 women, as a matter of fact, in a Think and Grow Rich for Women, that was in the spring before Eddie gave me this message. And they said, Hannah, you need to go to Unity on the River Church. And the next day, for some reason, I drove 40 miles up to Unity on the River, this little church. And at the same place, they had A Course in Miracles. And that was something that just began to change my life. That I wasn't looking for things out there. I was looking within me. And I started going on this course of life. And that May, for some reason, I just decided 2017, I'm going to quit drinking and lose weight. And just as life has gone on, I've just been, evolving to where I am today with you on February 15, 2024. And it's huge. And when I look at 2 and 1 is 3 and 5 is 8 and 2024 is 8, that's a double digit, 88. In numerology, if you know numerology, that is huge. So right now we are totally in the flow and glow of letting go, and we are all moving forward in our lives at a beautiful time together. So I I was not an individual brought up with network marketing. I was a travel agent, a boat bum for a year in the Caribbean, then came up to Boston and got a 25-year career with TAP Air Portugal, promoting Portugal as a destination for everybody to go to. And I did that from 1979 until 2003. And in 2003, little company called Travelocity and Expedia with these little IATA numbers took all the business. They took my job away.
Mhm.
So now I'm 23 years later, and I was 53 when my job ended. So what do you do? You know, what do you do? So I became an entrepreneur and I started a little business doing what a woman did for me with my mother. I created Admiral Concierge to help individuals. I was the adopted daughter for older individuals, and I helped three women transition. And I launched my business at the time that my husband became gravely ill. So as I was launching my business and I joined BNI, at the same time, I was going through being at the ICU at Salem Hospital and Mass General, and then the Kaplan House for his last 3 days. But I learned how to become an entrepreneur and I got back into it, and I kept that until about 2016 or 2017, which would have made that about 6 years ago. So about 65 or 66, I decided, what am I going to do? For everybody, I'm 74, going on 49, because I was born in 1949. What am I going to do? Well, I did work at Chico's for a while because I used to buy all my business clothes there. So 2 years afterwards, they said, where have you been? We haven't seen you. And I said, my husband died. They said, come work here. So they nurtured me for a while. But then I was one of those that with my career, I'm going to put this in as well. I thought I was golden because I joined TAP Air Portugal because they were on the same guiding light as British Airways. I had a pension plan. Well, don't you know they took that pension plan away and they turned it into a 401k. So that pension plan never came to be. So, and I know because of my lifestyle and because I'm on no drugs, that I'm going to live a long time. I'm going to age younger. So I'm going to need an incremental income to help me age. So that's when I looked in with another company that had to do with healing at the cellular level, but it wasn't the right company for me, but I gained a lot of knowledge. So I think I need to tell my story here because it's almost 365 days that on February 21st, 2021, around 10 o'clock at night, I had a pain. I thought I pulled a muscle underneath my rib cage on my right side. About an hour or so later, it was like my whole right side, my chest, my whole right side was hurting. And then around 1:45 in the morning, I had these excruciating 10 plus pain shooting out my right arm, up my arm and out. So I got dressed and I came down here and sat in my big blue chair. And I said, well, I can be very stoic and wait until 8 a.m. if I'm alive and call my doctor, and they're going to say, call 911. Or my hospital is 5 minutes away. I'll get in my hospital. I'm going to drive down the road, which I did, walked in the ER. And fortunately, last year, there was nobody in the emergency room. So I was able to get into the hospital with the team almost immediately. And by that time, I was barely breathing. So they got me in there, got me on oxygen. They did a CAT scan and they came out and they said, You are very lucky that you are alive. You had multiple pulmonary embolisms in your lungs, and you were almost stopping to breathe. If you had not gotten here, you would not be here right now. So they immediately put me on heparin, oxygen, and they said, you're not going anywhere except upstairs when we can get a room for you. So they got me into, I keep forgetting it's a hospital. If I call it hotel, they took me upstairs to my hotel room with a woman next to me. I never saw what she looked like because there was a curtain, but she was ailing so bad and had the television up high. But for me, all I wanted to do was get underneath my covers after I called my brother and sister-in-law and let everybody know where I was. And then I was okay. I'm in the hospital. I'm just going to get under the covers and look at the 10,000 photos of my life. And my trip to Egypt and to India for my nephew's wedding and my trip to Egypt in 2022. And to know what a wonderful life that I had. So they kept giving me the heparin and checking me out. And the next day they came in and they said, let's take a walk. So they got me out of bed and I walked around the hall one time. Let's go back to her. And I said, no, I want to try it again. So they took me around, walking around the hall again, took me back to my room. And they came back and they said, we're letting you out. You're going home. So 36 hours after I was in the hospital with pulmonary embolisms, blood clots in my lungs, they released me. Released me on Eliquis. And so that was on February 22. And no telling me why it happened, just nothing. And nobody could tell me. And the Avini conference, the first, not the launch, but the first Avini summit in Las Vegas was around March 18th. And I got permission from my doctors that I could go. They said, you have to have compression socks. So I got compression socks and I went out and I roomed with Diane Robinson. And I was right at the right place with the right people because we had Dr. Stuart Lonke, who I sat and had lunch with at the lunch. And I felt I'd be in the safest place. And then I came home and I had these crystals in my leg. My ankle was swollen and whatever, but thanks to Rick Deitch and Chip Littlejohn and my chiropractor who had laser told me to take baking soda and water and wild cherry juice and at 400 milligrams or more of magnesium, and just to continue with my Avini products, everything that we had. And I do want to preface this that it was last night that Chip and Marcy and Mark and Robin were on the call, and that Mark was telling his story, and that, he really upped his dosage with the Avini products. And then all of a sudden he had something that happened to him, but that had to do with the brain, but that he had such, because of what he was on and because they got him to the hospital in time, he had miraculous turnaround as well. Well, Avini came out with the trim science. So they had the fiber and the trim science, and I wanted to win the contest. So that was at the end of January, beginning of February. So I upped my dosage of the Cell Defender. I did the fiber twice a day. I did the silver. I did everything and brought in the trim science. Well, I believe that God's Spirit Universe gave me the message and got me to the hospital when I did, saying to me, you are in the best shape that you've ever been, and we're going to get you into that hospital, and we're going to get you out there as fast. And so
it's a blessing that you took that on, you know, you did what you did to wind up and be in the shape that you were in to get there.
truly
You would be
believe that.
still sitting on that blue chair you were discussing earlier, right?
I just, you know, with what I've learned with Avini, with the Cell Defender, and I want to share a book with you. This is a little book, See Inside Your Body. It's a children's book, and I bought it for all my nieces and nephews and their kids. I don't think they've ever opened it up. But this is what I'm going to be using because this says it all. Our body is a powerful machine, and it is so simple. If we take a shower on the inside, like we do on the outside, we respond so much better if something happens to us.
So Hannah, just back up a minute. So when did you start using the products? That was February a year ago?
No, I started using the products. I came into Avini when it was the first one, Navon.
Okay.
Okay. And then it went to Amplify, and I bought the $1,000 package that had a free entrance to the event that they had in October. It was my birthday. I had enough points and everything. So I just decided I'm going to go down and find out about this. And I met Dave Johnson and Kyle and Neil and Doug. And I sat there at the table with Dave and Valerie and all these individuals. And I looked at them and I just saw the looks on their face like, we're not meant to be here. And that's when everything turned around. I saw what we have here. I saw it all come into being. And so I was on the products, and I was just hoping, you know, none of us knew what the future was. But I went to Egypt, and as it came out of the King's Chamber on March 10th, under Uranus, I put it out that I hope they have it all figured out, because the Cell Defender and the Cell Defender and the Nano Silver, they were my tools for health while I was over there.
Yeah.
To take me through the country with my travels.
Hannah,
And when I came home, they opened, and when I come home, Avini came to being.
Yeah, it's, you know, you're in the right place at the right time for the right reason, and that's a blessing for sure. I want to ask Chip a minute to jump in a moment, because I know we have a couple guests on tonight, and some folks here know what we're talking about. We know who Robin are, but some people don't. And I see Dr. Nikita's on, and I like she's got that little bottle there, which is the Cell Defender. So maybe Chip can give us a little rundown on that magical, the zeolite. How's that? If Chip can just kind of touch base for a few minutes about that product, particularly that you're talking about, the zeolite.
Well,
thank you, Hannah.
It's really interesting to listen to Hannah, because she was there before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
She was there, you know, when the seed was below the ground, warming in the dirt full of poop, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of what was happening there. And
Yeah.
She's at a table. Think about that, at a table with Rick and Doug and Neil and Dave Johnson. What a fortuitous moment that was. And you could read on their faces that they, well, what happened, and this happened to us, you know, along the way, and we're finally past it. There was a bureaucracy over our heads that had no idea who we were and what we could do. You know, we were there. We had our little core group of people and our belief in Rick Deitch and his concept, which was simple. If you're brand new tonight, the big idea is do we have to risk something or hurt people to help them? Or isn't there some way we could actually help them to help them? I know that sounds really simple, but that's the big idea. And in order to achieve that, you have to have what's missing on the other side. And the word I've come up with for it is selectivity. So if you're going to start pulling metals out of the human body, it has to be the poisonous one, not the biologically active ones. That's what Avini Cell Defender does. When you take it, the very next time you pee, you're peeing poison. But the problem with that term would have been called chelation in the past, and we'd have used EDTA. It was pretty good at pulling lead, but unfortunately, it would take a lot of the other beneficial metals as well. So you had to go into a doctor to do it, have it done intravenously, cost a lot of money. You couldn't do it very often, took the good with the bad, and then you had to replace that and you felt sick all the time. The beauty here is really a gift, not something we designed, but a gift of God, that the raw material in nature is full of these poisonous metals. And so what the biochemist had to figure out was just the simple thing about how do you make water run uphill? Or how do you get a cationic exchange to run backwards so that the mineral gives up the bad things? Now it's hungry to take them in again. Now, when you take them into your body, it refills itself with those poisonous materials. And this is my new languaging for this week. It weaponizes the pollution that's been accumulating in you for your whole life and uses it against your adversaries. So it'll never enter a healthy cell, that word selectivity again, but it will enter a cell that's made a mistake and is stealing your food. Oof. And that cell will always die within 72 hours. That sounds fast, but we can never go into a healthy cell, and we can only take the poisons out of the body fluids, so the blood, the lymph, that kind of thing. Once that's clean, then the tissues give more poisons to the body fluids, and the next time you take the product. So it becomes, instead of an instant event to clean yourself, it's more like hygiene. It's like you're brushing your teeth every day or taking a shower on the inside, washing away things that you could not get at before. And the benefits begin like instantly, because every single metabolic process starts running cleaner. And over time, as you're replacing yourself, the new cells are better copies. So you take on attributes of a younger version of yourself. And so that's kind of a quick little introduction. I was listening a little bit as Hannah was speaking, and she talked about Think and Grow Rich. My son took a personal finance course that he really loved in high school, and they studied that class, Think and Grow Rich by Robert Kiyosaki. And when they talked about it in class, they said, well, in Robert Kiyosaki's example, he had his buddy had a dad that was entrepreneurial, so he started creating businesses and stuff. My dad, was a 40-year, like in the minefield kind of a guy, and had a good dependable job, but it was interesting to watch how, one, really flourished and the other one, found a way to get from week to week. And he said, I actually have both of those dads at my house too, but in my case, they're both the same guy. I thought that was a pretty good line.
Oh, in the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book that he wrote.
I've got both of them. It's just that they're both the same guy at my house. I thought that was kind of interesting.
You were blessed.
Oh boy, I'll tell you. And so for this, if you have, really the core of this gathering tonight, having been around Carol a little bit, is entrepreneurial urge, to have your own thing and make it run, figure out a way to make it run. Find something that is merits your effort, merits your voice and your attention, something important enough that you can put yourself toward it and feel, just run backwards in your life. And you can probably think of things you did where you were there and you were doing it, but you knew that wasn't your career, you knew it wasn't your life, you could get through it for now. but you're looking for something else. Perfect example for me being in the military. I never intended to be a career. I was always practicing to do something I did not want to do, right? That's what you do in the military, unless you're in war, then you do it. Here, the very first day, you may be able to touch someone and say, let's figure this out together. Let's share this idea. Let's go see if we can, improve ourselves. And you're in the game. You're on the field the first day. That's real. You're not you're not like doing an exercise. You're actually doing it. And I think that's really, really interesting. And in many of your cases, when you're doing something like this, you are being who you really are. And just never found a way to, let's just say, monetize it before. You finally found a way to monetize who you really are, because somebody with a big computer down in Boca Raton, Florida, is keeping track of who told who, and a little bit of it goes back up the line and hydrates the families. And so those are just some thoughts. You can ask anything you want, of course, but Hannah always makes me think a little bit. I do have to say one thing, because it's happened since I was with Hannah last, and she talks about losing her husband in that horrific way. My daughter got married about a week and a half ago, and a lot of her friends are nurses in Omaha, Nebraska. And one of them I got to talking to, and she was a super, super athlete, really, really fast 800 runner. She looks fast standing still, one of those girls.
Yeah, sure.
Her job is in the intensive care unit. And I said, well, what do you see a lot of? And she said, where I am, livers. I said, is it, sugar problems that's killing people's livers? She said, it's alcohol. And she said, it is, because of what happened, the pandemic, we have to hold their hands because their families can't come in as they die. And it's the slowest, most god-awful death. And we won't give them a new liver because, and this was her language, I mean, you talk about blunt, because they will drink it dead again. That's what addiction is. And I thought, what a powerful language from a young woman who is doing that every day. Those kind of things. These are just thoughts that popped into my head as I'm hearing Hannah speak. And her world travels, her boating stuff, representing Portugal and being in India and Egypt. And I mean, what cool, interesting people we have around here. I'm kind of getting to know Carol a little bit more. You see her here and she's up there in the corner smiling and stuff. And then you see her when she's doing what she does with the people she does it with. And you think, oh my gosh, what an incredible body of work over many years and thousands of people in a couple of continents. And I'm thinking, it's not that I didn't respect her before, but now it keeps me awake at night. I'm thinking, how can she possibly do all this? And then I think, what will Avini be in her hands? What's going to happen with it in her hands? And many of the others of you that way as well. What's this going to be with you?
To that point, it's, like you said, each of us have that in our hands, but what will we do with it? And you see on this call many of the same faces, the people that are staying consistent and staying at it. And I had a new person say to me the other day, how long should I give this? I said, give what? And she says, should I give it 3 weeks, a month, 6 months? I said, give it your all. That's how long you give it.
It's taken me 8 years to be where I am right now, but it's been the personal development that Avini has given me to grow into where I'm meant to be. There's a great book, The 17 Principles of Success. And I wrote this down, universal principles in self-motivator form. Every adversity has the seed of an equivalent or great benefit. Greatness comes to those who develop a burning desire to achieve high goals. Success is achieved and maintained by those who try and keep on trying with their own unique personal mental attitude And to become an expert achiever in any human activity, it takes practice, practice, practice. Man's greatest power lies in the power of prayer. And I just say that I'm just coming out of, I'm breaking free right now here on the East Coast. And I just truly believe, like today is 8/8, when you do up those numbers of the date of the month and the day and the year is each 8/8, that this is the beginning of the next 9 weeks until we all meet at the summit.
Thank you for saying that.
I know Diane, I know Chip, I know Kyle, I know Dave and Pat. You know, we met. Pat had her issues with her lungs like I did, and we were asking the questions, you know, with Stuart Lonke and with Rick. But I am just beginning. I am finding my voice. And I realize that with the work that I'm doing, with everybody that I'm talking with, I really am the toxic expert. Okay. And that with the PowerPoints that we have from Paul and Dave, we just need to work with those and find our way and to learn about our medical community, to learn from everybody. How can we share this to meet the 8 aspects of wellness that include physical, emotional, financial, occupational, environmental, social right here, and everybody that we bring in, intellectual, look at what we're doing with our minds and with our spiritual wellness.
You know, Hannah, thank you for that. And that sounds like a challenge to this group here tonight. What can we all bring forth in those spheres of your expertise, your walk, your experience? And I think everyone here tonight is here for a reason. I promise you we wouldn't keep you too long, but I want to give you the opportunity because I said the third piece of this would be questions. Does anybody have a question for Chip or for Hannah before we let you go? Just raise your hand and Carol will unmute you, or you can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question before we part. Novella, welcome.
Hi, I don't have a question, but I'd like to say something. Can I share something? Okay, so you know, my story is that Carol forced me to do Avini. So she actually sent me she sent me the product and she said, you know, will you take it? And I was like, she said, if I give it to you, and I'm somebody that I manage my word, right? If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And so I took it like she said, and I really didn't think that it was anything happening, you know, and had it been left up to my own devices, I may have stopped taking it. But my family kept going, you know, they started noticing me doing things that I wasn't doing, like getting up out of the chair quicker and walking faster and, you know, and it just things, right? And, but anyway, what I wanted to share with you is that, you know, I've kept on the product. At some point I really got it, you know, I thought I was having dementia or something, you know, my brain was foggy and I always been sharp and, you know, dead on. And then all of a sudden it was sharp. And I was like, oh, I'm back. And I called everybody and I was like, I'm back. And I'm blah, 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 and I'm talking. And then at some point I realized that, oh, wait a second, this is multi-level marketing. I don't do this. This isn't what I do. You know, it's like, and then I got stopped. Right. And I'm like forcing myself and because this is a great product. And then I was having these secret conversations. And so what happened was my friend took me on a trip on a cruise for my birthday. And I get back and find out that a dear friend of mine was in the hospital in Florida. And so when I found out, I went to the hospital, and he's somebody that's like me. We believe in the power of the word, and all of that. And so he had a few people in his room, and I'm thinking to myself, I really want to talk to him about this product that I have. But see, it's multi-level marketing. I got a secret to tell, I can't, say it out loud. Right. And so, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I'll tell him later. And the doctor had come in, and they were talking about this plan that he had, and he was being really great about it. He had cancer, and he was being really great. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to talk to him. I went home, and the next thing I knew, they called me and said that he had died.
Mm. Sorry.
I felt horrible. I was like, I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him. It could have made a difference. I don't know if it made a difference, but I heard all of these people saying all of these things about how it helped them and what they had done. And I kept thinking to myself, like, what if I had told him? So it stayed in my mind. And then he had his celebration of life. And I went back out to Florida. I live in Texas. I went back out to Florida so that I could be there. And person after person stood up, and they shared about how he was and how awesome he was, and how he was just like right down to the end. He was just like being really awesome and powerful. And I know that about him. And so sitting next to his son after everybody was leaving, and we were just kind of sitting there, we were talking, and his son said, Auntie Lala, he calls me Auntie Lala. He said, I was with my dad in the hospital, and he said, he was great. And all the way to the end, he kept saying, a miracle is going to happen. Watch and see. A miracle is going to happen. You'll see. Watch. He said, even he kept asking the doctors, well, did you take tests? He was waiting for a miracle. And I keep thinking to myself, was I that miracle that he was waiting for?
Wow.
Now, I don't know. I don't know if Avini could have helped. I don't know if it could have or not, right? But I know one thing. I made up my mind at that moment. I was like, I don't give a damn that this is multi-level marketing. This is something that I'm going to share, because the people in my life, it can make a difference. And when I was there, I went around to all of my friends, and I was telling them, and everybody that I met, I was like, hey, let me tell you about this stuff. Somebody said that they were tired. I was like, I got something. It was telling everybody.
Well, I just want to tell you that in light of time, I'm going to have you back to tell the story to more people, because you've just charged every single one of us around here. We can't be afraid. We can't walk in fear. We have to be bold. And you just shared such a sweet story, which brought tears to your eyes. And I think it brought tears to a lot of people's hearts here tonight, sister. But we're there with you. And thank you for sharing that truth with us tonight. And I want to just thank our guests tonight for being here. Hannah Stringer. I wish we had more time, but I want to thank you, and I want to thank Chip as always. Go ahead, and then I just got a couple announcements that I need to.
Okay, I because of what I had, I could no longer take my powdered aspirin, so I had to cold turkey off of that, and I immediately started with the Plus Relief. I will never go back to using aspirin. Everybody should have this by their bed. They should have it downstairs, in their car, everything. Because if you begin to feel a tinge of a headache, or well, whatever, pressure on the head, just squirt this or use the gel. But this has been a godsend for me. Mm-hmm. And Novella, my whole thing with Avini is the only way that it can come out is by sharing relationship. And I have to get over this with a lot of people, because they say, the practitioners say, well, I don't want to sell this. And I said, we don't want you to sell this. We want you to be the best at what you do and use the product. And what if your clients use the products and they see the difference.
Amen. Yeah. So
You
well,
know,
very,
And they
very
don't,
well
you
said.
don't have to go on auto ship. Just buy the biggest bundle and do it for 90 days and make a commitment to yourself.
And go forth. All right, everyone, thank you for being here. Listen, I want you to remember to try your Avini Hydration Plus. If you haven't tried it, you must. It's a must. See you at the summit in April. Don't forget that we still have the special going on to Saturday. And the leadership it's the Las Vegas Leadership Challenge is still going on to March 31st. And next week we have two special guests. We have Priscilla. I always nervous how to pronounce her last name. Pasabiso, is that, forgive me if it's wrong, but she's going to be here. So invite your moms, your dad, your stay-at-home entrepreneurs for next week. And then again, we'll have some tips from Suzanne Marone, who is an author, and her near-death experience when she was exposed to to awful pesticides and nearly walked into death. So join us next week. Thank you,
Wow.
everybody, for being here tonight at Avini Vibes, and go out and share. God bless you.
Look
Bye,
forward to
everyone.
moving forward with all of you.
Yeah.
Bye,
Thank
Hannah.
you.
Thank
Look
you,
forward
Yes.
to
Hannah.
moving
Yes.
forward.
Hannah, reach out to me, Hannah. We are
Okay.
going to work alignable. Call
Good
me.
night, everybody.
Bye. It's been really real.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.